These are assembly instructions to my box with an acetate top. This is the base of my box. I've cut it out of 80-pound cardstock, and I'm just folding down on all the score lines. And then I have my ribbon. The width of it is just a little under 1/2 inch, and I'm cutting 2 lengths of it at about 13 inches long. I'm looking at the inside of my box. I'm putting a small amount of red line tape just below the cutout that's on the left hand side, about 1/2 inch, and I'm doing that on the right side as well. One side of my ribbon is patterned. I'm flipping it over so that I'm looking at the underside of it, and I'm removing the liner from my red line tape. I'm inserting one end of my ribbon into the cutout and then laying my ribbon flat on my red line tape, and then I'm covering my ribbon with a second piece of red line tape so my ribbon is sandwiched between the red line tape, and then I'm going to rotate and do the exact same thing on the other side. So I've got the smaller end of my box at the top and the bottom, and I have 2 tabs on either side. I'm putting glue all over those tabs. I'm raising up the smaller panel and raising up that side panel to join it. I want the cut edge of that longer side to be right along the score line of the tab where I've just put glue. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And then I'm going in with my bone folder and spreading that glue. So now I'm going to glue in the tabs on the other shorter side. I'm covering them both in glue, and I'm raising up that short side. The cut edge of it is right along the score line of that tab. And I'm doing that on both sides. So next I'm going to remove the liner that's on the red line tape that's on top of my ribbon. Then I'm putting glue all over that flap that's above it and folding in to the interior of my box. And then I'm going in with my bone folder and spreading that glue. And then I'm folding in the flaps on the long sides as well. And then I'm removing the liner that's on the red line tape that's on top of my ribbon. And I'm covering that shorter flap in glue and folding it into the interior of my box. So that's the bottom of my box done. For the top of my box, I've used some metallic cardstock. So it's gold, and it's something that I've purchased at Michael's. I have some plain acetate. This is Cricut acetate, and it has a protective liner on both sides of the acetate. So I'm just going to peel off the protective liner on both sides. And then I have these pieces of craft foam. Now these pieces aren't absolutely essential. I'm going to make the walls of the gold parts of my box just a little bit thicker by lining them with the foam. And I'm folding down on all the score lines for my gold pieces. So I have the flaps at the top and I have the solid parts at the bottom with the tabs. I'm putting glue on one of the tabs. I'm joining the cut edge of my other piece right at the score line on my tab. I want the score line at the top and the bottoms to be nice and even. I'm going to flip my piece over so I'm looking at the underside of it. You can see the seam, and I have my craft foam pieces. I've got my tab here on the left hand side, and I'm going to glue down 3 out of 4 of my craft foam pieces. I'm going to leave this for later. Art glitter glue or barely art glue will work very well with most types of craft foam. So I'm just putting glue on the underside of my craft foam, gluing it down to the bottom portion, and then pushing it right up to the score line. And then I'm covering the flap in glue and then gluing it down. Next, I'm folding up the panel that's on my left hand side, and I'm putting glue all over that side tab. And then I'm bringing the other end over and just gluing the cut edge of it right along the score line on my tab. I'm just going in there with my bone folder and spreading that glue. Then I'm grabbing my last piece of craft foam. I'm inserting it onto that last side. And then I'm pushing it up towards the score line. I'm putting glue all over it. And then just folding it towards the interior of my box. And again, I'm going in with my bone folder and spreading the glue. So next I have my acetate piece, and I'm folding down on all the score lines for it. Now the score lines may be difficult to see on camera, but in person they're quite obvious. And then I have some double-sided tape. Now you could use red line tape here, and I have 4 tabs, and I'm covering my 4 tabs in double-sided tape. I'm removing the liner from my double-sided tape, and I'm positioning the cut edge of the adjacent side to the score line of my tab. I'm just gluing in all 4 corners of my acetate box the same way. I have my box base and the insert for my box, and then I have my acetate part that goes on top, and then I have my ribbon, and I'm tying my ribbon in a bow. One thing that I don't like is that I can see the double-sided tape on my sides, so I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to be using some Cricut shimmer vinyl, so I'm just going to apply it to my lid. I'm just going to peel it off by hand. I'm going to position it right on the edge. Corner on the left should meet up perfectly. So I'm just laying that down on the corner like so. You can no longer see that double-sided tape, and it's a little bit decorative, like so. And I'm doing that on the other side as well. And so that decorates my box a little bit. I'm putting the lid back on, and I'm going to make my bow to close my box.